Yeah, I'll always be a metalhead. Nothing can take that away from me.
Right.
I mean, not jail, not people, not religion, not anything. I'll always be a metalhead. Metalhead leaves you all alive.
You're listening to the Great Metal Debate Podcast.
Welcome back to the Great Metal Debate Podcast, returning with another amazing metal album review. Today, we'll be looking at the latest release from Polish folk metal syndicate Merkfolk titled Anabiosis, released independently earlier this month. But before we get into the review, a reminder and plea to like, subscribe, and share all our content on YouTube, SoundCloud, and Apple Podcasts. And join in the metal debate by following us on Facebook, Instagram, and X. It's been nearly 6 long years since Merkfolk's last release, Echo, with that one being an acoustic reimagining of prior material. Now these warriors of Polish folk metal have returned to us with a brand new album consisting entirely of fresh content in the form of Anabiosis. Let's hit the big questions. How does this compare to previous releases from Merkfolk? And, more importantly, is it any good? Well, to put it crudely, it's just another Merkfolk album, which is to say, it's excellent. I truly believe every fan of the band, and of the folk metal subgenre generally, should be overjoyed with this release, as everything that makes the music of Merkfolk great can be found here in abundance. Let's start with the most noticeable changes we find from their last album of completely new material, Kolowrat, from 2018. And that is the development and prominence of the accordion in the songs. Now, accordion has always been an integral part of Merkfolk's sound, but on Anabiosis, there's been a huge step forward in both the quality of the performance, its use in the song structures, as well as how this instrument is placed in the recording mix. Throughout Anabiosis, the accordion is often the melodic lead, with the guitar playing a rhythmic foil. On Circle of Woe, for example, it provides a heavy counter to the riffing, teasing us with just enough polka vibe to provide catchiness with clear folk overtones. While praising the accordion, one point of criticism I had with this album was the absence of much flute, the presence of which was much more prominent on prior albums. That said, I thought it was brilliantly employed on the album's final track, Strasnik, the most subtle song on the album. I thought the flute pairing alongside the guitar and accordion created one of the most glorious melodies on the record, which contrasted so well with the heavier versing. I also credit the percussion for really making this song work, employing the perfect tempo adjustments right where they were most effective. And the haunting cello notes at the end deliver a knockout punch. Having given love to the accordion, I would be remiss if I didn't point out the importance and centrality of the guitar. While the guitar riffs on this album might not ever rise to an outstanding level, they're also never dull and always quite effective. Beyond that, Anabiosis provides higher quality riffing than I've come to expect from earlier Merkfolk albums, and again, the contrast with the folk instruments really pays dividends on the choruses that express themselves in a fun metal way, not in a gimmicky, folky way. As was the case on Kolowrat, lead singer Agata Tukai holds up her usual standard of excellence, delivering ferocious, harsh vocals. They leap from her on each song as if she's attacking the listener. There's not a huge amount of variation to her delivery, but there is a nice level of texture and warmth that I find enjoyable and complements the instruments. As with the accordion, I give credit to the sound engineer for excellent mixing of the harsh vocals throughout the record, as well as some clean singing employed on a few tracks. Unfortunately, I don't speak Polish, so I can't opine as to whether any of the lyrics are done well. To be honest, with bands who sing in other than English languages, I find I enjoy the mystique of having no idea what artists are saying and concentrating entirely on the sonic delivery and musical aesthetic created. In listening to the album, I'll admit I did experience a few deja vu moments, both because a few tracks sound familiar to other songs on the album, but also because of similarities to tracks off The Folkbringer or Kolowrat. Despite this, overall the band has still managed to create music that feels fresh and a development of their signature sound, and perhaps more importantly, there's no sense of anything that is ripped off from other acts within the subgenre. As an example, Obietnica has some similarities to Nawolnik Przewalski, and The Flame has a Diaz-Dia vibe to it. But virtually every song holds a little something that makes it feel special. Storm has an absolutely mesmerizing choral interlude, and Pochaztek for me is an instant classic with a wonderful upbeat leading riff and overall memorable, shifting song structure. Perhaps my favorite track, and one of the most surprising and interesting songs on the album, and one I haven't mentioned yet, is Mid-Paced Anhedonia. This one is a black metal tinge song that has a bit of an Arcona feel to it. Almost anthemic in design, it has the band delivering something stylistically different, yet with the accordion giving just a hint of that familiar Merkfolk feel. It's a perfect change of pace midway through the album, from tracks featuring more frolicsome and pompous folklore motifs. So, when I consider everything, what we have here is another 46 minutes of Merkfolk magic. The band has increased their level of performance and professional competence while still retaining the sincerity of amateurism. All the songs on Anabiosis bring elements of interest, and Merkfolk definitely can't be accused of being boring or forced. Now, it's fair to say that if you're not really into folk or pagan metal, this album's not going to change your mind on the genre. But this is a solid representation of the ever-growing scene and shows Merkfolk to be a band building on its potential. If you dig folk metal of any kind, you should at least check this album out. You can purchase Anabiosis by Merkfolk via VizarraVein.com. You can also stream their music on Apple Music, Deezer, Spotify, and other platforms. And if you are in Poland, go check them out on a number of dates they'll be playing throughout the remainder of the year.